Hello and welcome to another episode of Ivy Games Weekly. I am so excited to be back in the office. Vacation is wonderful, like we were on vacation last week, but it's also stressful when you have two kids. It's a little bit less restful, so it's been nice getting back into the swing of things. I've been 3D printing today, which is always fun. It's also terrifying because it's a very expensive machine, and I tend to be a little bit clumsy. But so far, I haven't broken anything today, so that's good. But I'll have some of those to show off soon. Which, it's a fun part of my job. Today, we're going to be talking to one of the creators or the creator of Deliverance. Very excited to talk to him. His name is Andrew Lowen, and we're going to get to him in a second, but I want to do our giveaway first, and I also want to just cover some stuff for Ivy Games. So first off, we have a giveaway from 2 weeks ago. So we had Bryce Cook on the show. If you don't know Bryce, go back and watch that episode. Some really interesting perspectives on tray inserts. So he works for Game Trays. They make amazing inserts. They're working on Veiled Fate now. They're working on 3 different trays for us right now, actually, for the future. So really, really excited about that. Bryce is just a really good guy. Had a really good time talking to him. Our calls always go like a half hour over because we're just talking about random stuff. But it was really nice to have him on the show, and very thankful that he joined us for that. You had to say something nice about Bryce in the comments, which was very easy to do, I'm sure. And we're going to do a random comment picker for that. So if this comment that gets picked does not say something nice about Bryce, I will reject it and pick another one. All right. Let's pick a winner. All right. Jay has won. Jay, what was Jay's comment? Doesn't it usually say the comment? Oh, is that the comment? Did they link us to something random? Oh no. What did I just click? Oh no. I have no idea what that YouTube link is, so I'm going to go away from that just in case. Oh my gosh, that could have been bad. I'm going to look on the page and see what Jay's comment was, because I'm a little terrified that might have just been a random YouTube link, and that is something we definitely don't want just jumping out into the public for sure. So please bear with me as I look and see if Jay had a real comment or if this was not a real comment. All right, Jay, what'd you say here? Dun, dun, dun. Remember this episode a couple of weeks ago where I was just counting comments? I feel like I'm doing that again. Maybe I should just pick an entirely new. I don't even see Jay's comment. Political history of West Bengal. That was the YouTube link. No thanks, Jay. We're going to try again. All right. We finally have an actual winner here. Let me get it up here. Zach D. Bryce's mind works in wonderful ways, and that is very true. Thank you, Bryce, for having a wonderful mind, and thank you, Zach, for watching the show. Zach, you have won a Moonrakers Kickstarter edition. Hopefully this isn't Zach Dixon. Zach doesn't spell his name that way, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that isn't him, but maybe it's him as an alias. If anyone else thinks that's suspicious, please put sus in the comment section, because I think that is very suspicious. Anyway, but we will find Zach. Zach, if you could please join our Discord and comment or message me, Austin, there, or message us on any of our social media channels, I will get you that Kickstarter exclusive edition. So thank you so much for watching the show. All right, so going to bring on Andrew in just a second, but we're going to be talking about the Kickstarter Deliverance, which is cruising up to $200,000. It'll be there very soon. I covered this in an episode of Ivy Backed. If you haven't seen that yet, go watch that, where I break down their Kickstarter page. Overall, it's a really, really great page, and I really like the art. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Andrew in here. Andrew, great to meet you. Oh no, I can't hear you, Andrew. Is this on me or is this on you?
No, that's me. I'm totally adult. How you doing, Austin? Good to be here.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. How crazy is life right now? I imagine pretty wild.
It's insane, and I'll tell you what. I was a little bit behind schedule because I decided to. So I issued a challenge to all of my Deliverance insiders that basically, if you can beat the game. Deliverance is a tough game, but if you can beat it on like one of the 2 highest difficulty settings, then you get a special title in my Discord forevermore.
Oh.
So I was soloing. I was live streaming a solo mode and on nightmare difficulty, which is like 1 down from the top. And I totally got killed. It was it was an epic win. We had some really high highs and some low lows, and then at the very end, we just, we were really at a high risk for losing, and we ended up rolling a result that ended up dealing lethal damage to me.
So you won, or
no?
no?
I was died at the doorstep.
Died at the doorstep.
Really
Got
close.
I
have to hunt my guardian title.
I love those feelings in games where you're up against the big boss and it comes down to that like last moment of like, can I manage this? Can I not manage this? We get that in Gloomhaven as a group a good bit. And I love it. It's just like one player's already tapped out to like 1 HP and you're just like, oh my gosh, we're not going to make it. Unfortunately, in order to have the proper tension, sometimes you have to lose that, right? Like if you always win, then you don't get that tension. So
right. And it was crazy because I was like, all right, so I was playing Gabriel, and every character is very asymmetric in the way in Deliverance, every character has its own set of actions listed on the character card, and those are the things that you can do. So Gabriel has, and then in addition to that, you have these cards that are called talents, which actually add to the skills that you can do, or they customize your skills that are on your character card and make them more powerful as you kind of level up. And one of the things that I played this build of Gabriel that was kind of like a prayer warrior, where when he uses the pray action, it's more powerful. When he plays prayer cards, they do more things, and it was really fun. But I was at toward the end of the game, and I'm like, I'm just so in a bad spot. And then I had this miracle draw of prayer card after prayer card that I needed, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm able to like look through, and it was like extremely cool, and I got really close, but yeah, we ended up getting completely slaughtered at the end.
Well, that's awesome. You're gonna have to comment with your Discord link invite at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to promote that for you. We love our Discord channel. It's been a huge part of
Yeah.
our games making it to market, especially during COVID. Almost all of our testing for Veiled Fate was done through the Discord, so we are very blessed to have an active community there. They even made our mods for Moonrakers and Veiled Fate, so we're really blessed to have that community, and I think every creator needs that community in order to bring their stuff to market. So happy that you already have that. All right, we have to take some steps back. We got to learn who you are. We got to talk about how you got into the industry, and then I got to talk to you more about this game. All right, so I'm gonna take a step way back. You are a creative in general, just not in board games, right? You own or work for a digital marketing agency, is that right?
Yeah, I actually founded a marketing agency back in 2009, and I didn't call it a marketing agency at the time. Maybe 2010, I went full time for working for myself, trying to sell websites and survive. So yeah, it was 2010. So it's been 11 years.
This is a trend I've been noticing, and I don't know if it's really a trend or not, but between you and Orange Nebula and us, some of the newer studios that I've seen launch Kickstarter campaigns, Orange Nebula being the oldest out of the three of us, are these creative agencies, because IV is a animation studio, and we just love board games, and we're like, well, let's try to make a board game, and that's how Moonrakers happened. And it seems like you obviously.
I love your ads, by the way. A lot
in
fact, a lot of my clients over the years, we'll talk about like the types of people I work with, but I work in the board game industry promoting board game Kickstarters and that kind of thing.
Right.
And there were a couple of clients that pointed back to the Moonrakers ads. They were like, have you seen the Moonrakers ads?
Oh.
It's like, yeah, man, they're good. Like, how much money you got, or what expertise you have. So
oh, well, thank you. That's very flattering. Yes, Sam on our team did an excellent job doing the advertising for Moonrakers, and it's not easy to do. Like, people are like, we've had a couple people come to us and be like, hey, would you do ad campaign for us? And we're like, heck no, that is so much time and so much effort. Like, we don't even have time to do it exclusively for our own campaigns. Like, we have to make time for that. So
it's funny. I feel the same way, for my own Deliverance campaign. It's like, I barely have time to do my own ads, it's like so much else going on.
That was actually one of my prepared questions. I was going to say, like, how different, because I know it's different, is it to be your own Kickstarter versus someone else's Kickstarter? Because I knew you had worked on other campaigns. So yeah,
it's extremely different. Yeah, if you want to talk about that, we totally can. We always talk to our clients, and we've helped probably about 50 Kickstarters, maybe between 40 and 50 Kickstarters get funded
Wow.
now in the last year and a half or 2 years. And I always tell clients the same thing. It's like after you launch. So there comes this time before you launch. And then, when you hit the launch button, the types of activities that you do kind of change. So before you launch, you work to build your email list, you work to kind of build a community, and you have to send emails out in a particular order. You send your monthly update, but then you have to send out like a link to your Kickstarter landing page so that people can start following it and hit the notification button, and then the preview page, so that people can actually see what it is. I think it's a big mistake if you ask all of your people to go back your campaign, but they didn't know how much it costs. They don't know what's inside it. It's like a big problem, right?
Oh man, yeah.
And then and then you send the launch day email. Well, for me, I was able to do all of that, and it was really hard. It felt like it was last minute, and I was tempted to just leave something to the next day, or just not send this thing, or just not have this ready. It's like, oh, but I have to. So I just worked more hours, It's like, I have to take my own advice,
It's
hard.
No, I completely agree. Like, just the build up to the campaign, which arguably is the most important part of your marketing, is that build up, which obviously you slayed because your first day was huge.
Yeah.
So congrats on that. But like, that is months of social posts and social ads and email gathering and lists to follow this Kickstarter link and pixel tracking and all this stuff that just most people are just like, I have no idea what any of that means. And we have found that per dollar, we see way more result before the campaign than after the campaign. And it's so weird because you can't buy it before. You would think that your conversion would be better when it's actually able to be bought. But I think that just goes down into like something deeper in us, that we want to discover something rather than being sold something. Anyway, it's great to hear you kind of agree with that. But
no, I do. And in fact, it's something that I'm thinking about. So one of my, the typical challenges with Kickstarter that actually you do not have with GameFound, you can install a pixel. I know we're just speaking the same language, but for everyone listening that has no idea what these two nerds are talking about, it's like a tracking system that will tell us, hey, I spent $10 on ads and one person bought my game for, let's say, $89. So yay, the ads are profitable.
Yay,
well,
it's working.
You can't tell on Kickstarter. It's just like, all right, it looks like these ads have like an 88% bounce rate. I hope it's working,
Yeah. Oh yeah. You kind of just have to be like, all right, well, I spent this much money today on ads, and yesterday I spent this much money, and today I have this many more sales on Kickstarter than yesterday. So I guess it's working. Like, because Kickstarter intentionally obfuscates it. Like, you cannot tell. That's because they want to tell it's coming from more, or they don't want Kickstarter to be a sales platform. There's a lot of reasons they might, but it is truly terrible to try to track advertising on Kickstarter.
Yeah. And
so we have a question. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead. We have
a question from Chuck White. I think we're on a delay, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we're on a delay for sure.
You answer this question, then I'll say what I was going to say.
Yeah. Sounds good. Chuck White wants to know, what is pixel tracking? So pixel tracking is a way for marketers really to track where you're headed through a page. So I'm trying to put this in layman's terms. It helps. It's a pixel on a website that helps track that you are coming from an ad. Is that a real simple explanation? I think so.
It's kind of like how the government tracks you, but instead of the government, it's a private company. And it's against your will, for your will, it's just like, you don't know about it. So, worry about it. Is that time you were talking about beef jerky on your Facebook feed, and then all of a sudden you see ads everywhere for beef jerky. Like the billboard gets built in front of your house and everything. It's like, that's basically pixel tracking.
Oh gosh.
So, I did this study with some of our clients, different sized Kickstarter campaigns that we've done in the past, anywhere from like $3,000 raised up to I think the highest one we did was Rurik Stone and Blade, which was like mid 200,000s raised, So we wanted a variety of these projects. And what we did was we went in and looked at every single referrer. So Kickstarter does list places that referred, and it says, okay, you had 182 people come in via the search bar, and you
Yep.
had, whatever, 75 people come in through discovery and other things like that. And, maybe a Facebook feed or the Facebook platform and other things it will list. And it credits itself at the moment. It's crediting 57% of the money raised, so just over $100,000 to itself for our platform, or for our campaign. And we actually looked into these campaigns to figure out how much. This was actually inspired by what was it? They have a Kickstarter live right now, but it was a company that did this analysis of how much actually came from it, and they took these referral trackers and figured out like how much I would apply to Kickstarter, how much I would apply to me. Like, for example, search. Kickstarter credits search to itself. However, somebody is searching because they knew about your game before. So I actually credit that 100% to me. The push notification, it's actually 100% because of the work that I do that there are pushes. Now, with the caveat that it's Kickstarter's whole campaign system that allows you to do that. But
you're still the one drumming up the support. The only thing that's really credible to them is the discovery page.
Yeah.
Like, and even then, like, I click on Kickstarters that I already have heard about a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's no perfect system. There never will be a perfect system, even if they did allow better tracking. But it is very hidden on how much Kickstarter actually brings to the table. And I think more about from Kickstarter, it's less about being able to attribute them the traffic, because any Kickstarter that comes to the table and is like, Kickstarter's going to bring me the people is not going to be as successful as it could be if they brought that to the table themselves, obviously. But what I credit Kickstarter with is a familiar pathway of getting a game. Like, it's an accepted process now. And that's why we stay on Kickstarter versus going to GameFound or running it through a pre-order system, because people are familiar with this process. And so that's what it is to us at this point.
I agree. And it does have organic traffic. The fact is that it does have organic traffic. They do have methodology that you can credit a user that didn't know who you were before, that found you and backed you because Kickstarter has a lot of traffic. I generally, our conclusion was that depending on how you attribute, Kickstarter generates between 15 and 40% of the sales of a Kickstarter campaign, which is actually pretty huge.
That's not bad.
If they just gave me the raw data, I would be impressed. I just wish they would.
Unfortunately, I think IV games are closer to 15% versus the 40, but it's hard to tell. Like you said, it's hard to tell. I got to catch up on some comments here. My good friend, hold on, let's see who we got here. Oh, we got Game Brigade. Game Brigade wants to know if you got an extra review copy. I know you're giving those things away to some backers, so you might not have them, but
you know what? I actually.
Oh man!
I have a review copy that was sent back to me today. So
that's great. If you don't know Game Brigade, we've used them for Veiled Fate and I think Moonrakers. Good people over there. I am like at this point of like people just keep our review copies, and I'm like, what have I done wrong? I need to get these review copies back and make a $1,500 pledge level because Andrew knows something I don't, because that was awesome for you guys. That's just wild that you're able to do that.
It was crazy. What's even more wild to me, so for people that might not know, on our Kickstarter campaign, I cleared this with my community before we did it, but we asked people if they wanted a $1,500 pledge level to, keeping it short, $1,500 pledge level, and they'd get the all-in, they'd get a professional miniature painter to paint an extra set of minis for them. They would get a signed prototype by me, and an original art sketch signed by Dan Maynard, the artist. And everyone, there were people that were like, there's no way I can afford that, but go for it, And then other people were like, I would absolutely do that to support you guys. And that's what blew me away. And
1,500 is no joke. I mean, they got some cool stuff, like the professionally painted minis, like those looked amazing. Like you did a good job in making it enticing, especially like you get this game right after the campaign ends. So snap.
And it's a really high quality prototype as well. So
nice. If you don't mind me asking, who are you using for printing or for the end copy?
So Longpack is in the lead right now. I have it's interesting because I don't technically have to pay the manufacturer to like sign with the manufacturer until they, until we actually get the minis started. So by the end of the campaign, we're just going to get the minis rolling, which means that we have to sign with the manufacturer. But right now, Longpack's in the lead. They just actually switched my rep, who does not speak English nearly as well, and so it makes me a little concerned. But yeah, so it's between Longpack, Gameland, and there are a couple of other smaller ones or different ones that, since they saw the success of Deliverance, they really
Reaching
want
out.
to. Yeah, they kind of turned me down, and then now they're like, well, we talked to our production manager. It's like, all right, well, we'll see.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is such a wild part of making a game. Like, so just going back to Moonrakers a long time ago now, it feels like forever, but it's actually been 2 or 3 years. Like, the team was like, all right, I think we're going to make a board game in Austin. Would you want to lead that department? And I was like, yeah, making a board game sounds great. But I was thinking rules and like components and like not international logistics and production. Like, that's just so far out beyond what I was thinking the game design was going to be. And it's just such a huge challenge for small teams. Like, ideally you'd have an expert in every position, but in Kickstarter companies, there's like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 people, and like there's too many
usually
hats.
friends or
It's like
it's rough.
You have to wear the production hat and the logistics hat and the game design hat and the art director hat and the marketing director hat. Like, it's just wild, all that goes into making these games. And it truly amazes me the quality of product that we get from Kickstarters based on these small teams. Like, it's just really passionate people in most cases trying to make their dreams a reality. And your product really struck me as that. So you're a dad of 5? Is that how many kids you have?
Give me 2 months and it'll be 6.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have 2. And I find it incredibly difficult to find time to play test and to find time to do all of this stuff. I have no idea how you managed to do it with 5, almost 6. So
it's gnarly. I'll tell you one thing. If I came up with, let's say, Gloomhaven is a really great game, but it's a beast to set up and tear down. Deliverance had to be like something that could get set up quickly and torn down quickly, and something that didn't take 4 to 6 hours to play because my kids would just eat the pieces and hide them. We'd find them in diapers, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it definitely was tough. But my wife was such a champ for, as far as the taking care of the kids, enabling me to do what I needed to do. She's also my player number 2. We did a lot of playing together. I would drive to a lot of local conventions. There are Unpub events here, and
where are you?
I'm in San Diego. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, and so
Chris,
I see Chris.
Chris also asked this question. Yeah, I hear he has a few kids, just a few.
I lose count all the time.
Oh goodness. So Game Brigade said, "Word, Brian, I'm really sorry. I was about to say my good friend Brian, and I was like, why can I not remember Brian's name?" And so I had to pivot and say Game Brigade. But Brian Grader is an awesome guy. He does a great job, has a great channel. So if you want to give him a prototype, I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, so feel no pressure.
Yeah.
But he has my endorsement for sure.
That's awesome.
Anyway, Rachel Blask has had a couple in here. Apparently, she's been talking about you on Clubhouse and loves how involved you are in how you involve your crowd in your creative process. And I agree. It sounds like you do a really good job of that.
Yeah, thank you. I think that Rachel invited me to her Clubhouse to chat like the day before we launched, and everyone's probably like, "Who's this nobody?" I'm sure that it would be better if it was a day after, but Rachel is just a fantastic human being that I think everybody should know in the gaming industry. She's really kind and super helpful, and very wise and successful in my view.
Awesome.
So. Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, Rachel. All right. So a couple of questions for you. First, so I didn't know your name. I didn't know anything about Deliverance before it launched, and then it hit $100,000 like that. And you were just kind of commenting on that. How how did you, because you obviously had a community beforehand that you were talking to, how did you go about building that community and hitting that button? Because I was really impressed with how fast you launched. And so, yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So we had the email list, our size, the email list was about 4,300 when we
Nice.
launched. And the true engagement, I think, was there were 800 people who literally never opened an email. It was probably somebody I met at a convention that was like, yeah, I guess I'll sign up, like
Right.
junk email. Never, this game sucks, you know? But there, or other people just put in junk emails or, that kind of thing. Maybe they join the Facebook group and they sign up. So I have this. It's actually, so I run a podcast called the Crowdfunding Nerds podcast,
Uh-huh.
and it is all about. I try to make it marketing, but firsthand experience, not theory at all. This is what we did. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. And there's this marketing concept that I have called the virtuous cycle. It's I think it's called the virtuous circle on Crowdfunding Nerds, but we went all into it. Basically, you have to have a system that capitalizes on or that you can capitalize on for how you talk about your stuff. So no matter where you bring people in, let's say you bring people to your website from let's say if you were in a convention and you're like, hey, sign up, from my email list, go to my website. Or if you bring them in via Facebook ads, or if they came in from a Facebook group or whatever, you need a place to store that. You like to bank those results, and your email list is one place, and a Facebook group is a great place for community. Discord can be a great place as a community as well.
Yep.
But the system needs to kind of automate as much as possible. So the way that we do it with our virtuous cycle, we bring people to the website. The website has an email subscription. The email subscription will send out an automatic welcome email that has a link to our Facebook community. Nice. And so by getting their email, we also get them in the Facebook community. And we had for our email list was 4,300. Our Facebook community was like 2,150 when we launched. And then if they join the Facebook community, I ask a question that is like, would you like to receive emails? If so, enter your email here. And if they answer that question, they're automatically approved into the group, no matter what they answer. So if it's no, yes, whatever, we'd have 50 to 60% of the people actually punch their emails in. So the groups were like cross-pollinating.
Right.
And the email list was the way that we would kind of let everybody know what was happening. But very importantly, the community was how we let people know what was happening on a regular basis. Yeah. And the honest truth is that a Christian game, whenever you hear a Christian game, it's like, oh, okay, so it's an educational tool, or it's like a slightly worse retheme of an already existing game that's better, or it's like it's made to convert people. It's like, am I going to get preached at? Do I have to know the Bible to play this game? So yeah,
I love that you brought this up, because this is my next question. But it reminds me, what you just said reminds me of something, and I don't watch The Simpsons, but I've definitely seen it. And it was The Simpsons talking to Switchfoot, and they said, you're not making Christian rock better, you're making rock worse, or something along those lines. And while I disagree with that, because I think that it's just a funny thing, but like that is like a public perception of like a Christian version of something is just going to be a tool to just slam the Bible down your throat, or it's just going to be a slightly less better version of whatever's out there. And and I wanted to talk to you about this niche, because it's definitely niche marketing. And there's a lot of different ways to do niche marketing, right? So like XYZ Quirks, which is live right now, they did those really cool little travel boxes, and that's a niche marketing to me. That's like going after people that travel with games. And it's very different than a theme that's a niche. Like any IP is a niche marketing. Like Lord of the Rings is going to be niche marketing, a broader niche, obviously. Well, maybe not broader than a religion, though. So who knows? Like it's a pretty broad niche. But obviously, it was a very conscious choice to put your game in this universe. But it also, it's a game still. Like it's a setting. Like you can't. There is not enough information on the spiritual warfare for you to make an entire game. So you had to make up stuff, right?
Right. That's right. And in, you kind of likening it to Lord of the Rings, I've learned there's really a lot of, so there are the stigma associated with this particular type of game, which we kind of talked about that, it might be worse than just a normal game, or it's got some ulterior motive, and so a lot of the time they're not innovative. There are a lot of problems with, so-called Christian games.
Right.
And but when you look at it from the perspective of an intellectual property, so you have the Bible, which is a base of lore, and you've got other bases of lore. You've got in the world, you've got the Islamic religion, you've got the Norse religion, you've got all of the, of course that'd be Vikings, and then you've got Greek mythology and so many other places that are often used as the basis for games. And Lord of the Rings is one of them. Mm-hmm. And so Lord of the Rings, you look at that and it's like, okay, it's an intellectual property. If I made Lord of the Rings, which, by the way, one of my favorite games, Journeys to Middle-earth, right there, Lord of the Rings LCG, I've got a bunch of those.
Nice.
But if you gave Legolas pink hair and decided that he was an axe user, you would get your game. It would not work.
You'd get torn apart.
Yeah, so it would be like, all right, this is getting sent back, and if you don't change it, then you're losing the license, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Bible is a base of lore that we'll call it, it's more community managed. So if you get something completely wrong, in the same way, somebody will kick it back and say, nope, that doesn't work. However, it's just going to be like thousands of, lore fans nerd raging at you for getting it wrong and burying you, And so the most difficult part of designing a good, we'll call it a good Christian fantasy game, is getting the lore right. Like, you can't get the lore 80% right and then do 20% of the stuff because it's cool. You have to consciously decide. For example, our angels are not theologically sound at all. There are men and women, and they're pretty good looking, and they have 2 wings, and that is not biblical. I don't know if you know that or not.
My angels have 6 wings. Thank you very much.
And eyeballs all over, and they strike fear into your heart, and you would fall down as though dead if you saw them. Right? It's like, all right, it's like way beyond Tyrael and Diablo, way beyond that. And but I've been told I'm going to hell about a half a dozen times, for the development of this game. Yeah.
Hold on real fast, because I'll cut you off. You've probably been told that by the Christian community, and then you have people not in the Christian community that be like, well, I'm not interested in your game because it's the Christian community. And so you're probably taking heat on both sides.
Definitely.
Funny.
It is.
Goodness.
Yeah, there are 2 types of people that throw shade. But the hardcore, I'll say the misguided Christian, they'll throw shade because I got something wrong, and unless I repent, I'm gonna, be damned to hell because of all the people that will be fooled or something. The damnable heresy of making a female angel, for example.
Right. Heresy for sure.
Yeah, it's like there are no female angels. It's like, yeah, but there are there's so much more going on, like we talked about, like the godlike beings with eyeballs all over. Like that's. You're not even referencing that, but anyway,
you missed more than just the gender there. I said that. So I was doing the Ivy Backed campaign, which we just look at Kickstarter campaigns. We're not talking about the game usually on that show. But I had to bring it up. Where it's just like, this is an interesting world because there's just not enough in the Bible to make a campaign or like a boss battle type game, right? But there is lots of story arcs / like cues that you could take and run with. So I'm excited to play the game, and I want to ask this question because I think it's true. Like, you could not be a Christian and really not be interested at all and have a blast with this game. Like, it's not going to be like, hey, Christians only. Like, it definitely seems like it is a world based on Christianity, but is still a game. Like, it's just the game setting is this.
100%. And there's no number one, there are certain things that I'll say. There's this concept called the magic circle. And just so in case any of the listeners don't understand what the magic circle concept is, or any Christians listening are like, magic, no.
Magic.
The idea is that when we all sit down to play a board game, or when we sit down to watch a movie, let's say a Marvel movie, we accept that we are no longer people sitting in the universe. We are now sitting in this new universe, this Marvel universe, that different things that are not true in the real world are true. Like a dude in tights flying around with a hammer and calling down from the sky is normal. And or like Black Widow can scissor leg take down anyone, like no matter their size. Or stuff like that. It's like, okay. Or Hawkeye never misses with an arrow. That's all right.
Has never.
And that's probably not nearly, I mean, or giant space dragons coming out of portals in the sky. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. Um, and so in the same way, the Christian lore that I'm using, it just asks you to step into this world of let's accept these things are true. You know, okay, Jesus died, buried, resurrected. Angels good, demons bad, Satan the worst. These are just the foundations of this universe. Now let's just tell an awesome story. Like I don't need to tell you all about Jesus. I don't need to tell you all about Satan. I don't need to, like, that's just in the
Yeah.
world. You're expected to, when you interact with Satan in the game, he's not going to introduce himself,
Yeah.
you're going to know that that's the dude. And that's the way the lore goes.
Yeah.
And so one of the couple of, Age of the Atom said suspension of disbelief. That's exactly right. That's all we're asking people to do.
Right.
And so what we want to do is we want to just tell a really awesome story. And
Right.
when you do certain things that you break immersion, when it's like all of a sudden, you need to repent of your sins on game number 6 if you wanted to move on to game number 7, or you could get bonus experience or whatever. It's like, okay, that just pulled me back into my world.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like not,
that's not,
or like the worst error would be if the game made a judgment on a different lifestyle,
Right.
like getting real, right? Like this is what a lot of non-Christians are afraid of. Like, what about, are you going to condemn, other sexual orientations? Are you going to condemn, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. A different
And
lifestyle.
that is something that I think is, we do not play games in order to get like preached at, right?
Right.
And games are meant to be fun inside of a box. I have pastors that I know that teach out of Marvel movies,
Right.
and they teach biblical concepts from Marvel movies. And that's just, you've got the hero and you got the bad guy and whatever. Deliverance is really kind of a tool that you can use. I'm sure you can use it for ministry, but it's a tool that you use for fun and for a really awesome game. That's the whole point.
So I think it's good that you're able to talk about this so openly, because I think if you didn't, people would be like, it's one or two. Like you have the two camps, right? The people that will say you're trying to rewrite our religion, which is obviously not what you're trying to do. You're saying, no, I'm pulling themes from the religion and characters from the religion, and I'm making a game out of it. And on the other side, you have people being like, okay, well, are you trying to use this to preach to me? And I think as long as you're able to come in the middle and say, look, I'm not I'm not trying to offend your religion, and I'm not trying to make you join this religion. It's just a game. I think that's a really hard. It's a conversation starter for sure. It's like the niche audience is good because niche audience allow you to focus your marketing really well, and it's really good for being able to make something creative in a world you want to make it in. But then you also have those challenges sometimes. So it sounds like you're handling it really well. But yeah, when I saw it, I was like, he's going to get a lot of questions.
And it's absolutely something that I've, over the years, because it's been about 5 years in the making, a long time to actually develop this thing in a way that, all of the questions were answered and, nothing was left to what is unknown, so I mean, you've got a lot of people who are, let's say, Christians that play in groups filled with people of other beliefs or no belief, right? And they wouldn't want to bring a game that would hurt their relationships that they currently have. They would want to bring a game that people would love. Like, why would I bring Deliverance when I could just bring Gloomhaven and then nobody would be upset, right? And so Deliverance is not, I'm not necessarily trying to say, oh, Christians should like this game. I'm designing a game that lives in this lore that should be the best in its class, and that's and it's using the Christian lore. And to that effect, we've got, I love calling it this. I love calling it highly thematic flavor text on the back of a bunch of cards. They're Bible verses that are prayers. The prayers are on the back of the prayer cards. I have Satanists telling me, like, you should really add more prayers to the cards, and things like that, just because it's highly thematic, and that kind of thing. It's just a really cool base of lore to play in.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. All right. So what challenges, you said you've been working on this for 5 years, and I feel that because these are huge projects that take a very long time to bring to market. What do you think some of your biggest challenges were to get to this moment?
So, well, the first one was getting people to believe me. Like you were saying, that was probably the biggest challenge. And actually, when we started, it's like, okay, I'm a marketing person. I could pay for Facebook ads, find a little niche, and then raise some money with like 500 backers and then,
Yep.
print the game. But I thought, well, I'd like to prove that there is a demand for this product because it does not exist on the market. I felt like, hey, this is a, a blue ocean strategy that I'm targeting people in a different way. And the idea is that I needed organic support. So I paid $0, and over the course of about, I want to say 18 months, we built over 1,000 people on our email list
Wow.
and over 900 on our Facebook group. It's like 1,100 on our email list, 900 in the Facebook group,
All
completely
organic.
organically, all organic.
Wow.
We actually spent $21 on ads to boost a post one time because I was like, I shouldn't have done that, but so yeah, that's
That's awesome, man.
yeah. And that was the first thing. I'm like, okay, there's a market for this. If I was getting banjo memes all the time, Deliverance is a 50-year-old movie that, is not at all this theme,
Mhm.
I'll leave it at that. But people make fun of me all the time for, oh, the name and this and that. And
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I did not name a game Moonrakers, so right there with you.
yeah, yeah. So, it's just a thing that I had to endure. So I had to learn how to deal with trolls that are on both sides or every side, people trying to hurt my feelings, saying the game is terrible, other
Yep.
people using memes to just throw shade, little needling here and there. You know how it is where you're just alone in your house in a dark room working on something and then you read a
Oh,
Facebook comment and then you get mad on the internet.
oh
It's
yeah.
like just trying to like deal with that.
We had a person that would hunt our Facebook ads, and I don't even know how you do that. You probably don't. They just got a lot of them, and they always said "get sued," spelled with a three. It was SU3D by bond, and we're like, we did our due diligence. We have the I can't
Uh-huh.
remember what the trademark on this
Yeah.
thing. Like it's not
Mhm.
like we are just like waiting to get sued by bond. Like but that comment, I got it every day, and I was just so mad
Yeah.
by the end of
There's
the campaign. So I'm right with you there.
we have somebody like that. There's a guy that just constantly says, "Why am I getting these stupid things?" It's like, dude, it's because you keep liking and
Yeah,
clicking and
stop
like
commenting
commenting.
on it. It'll go away.
Facebook thinks you're the best.
Yeah, I wish you could blacklist people so badly.
That's
Maybe you
hilarious.
can. Maybe you
I
can.
know.
And I just don't know how. But Money wants to know which platform did you find gets the most views? Do you think your more focused approach is better? I'm guessing he means did you focus on just one? This kind of
Mhm.
goes into that what you're just talking about with organic traffic. If you could touch
Yeah.
on that.
Sure. So, the first thing is, the base of everyone's success is a core group of rabidly excited fans. That's what got me $146,000 in the first day,
Yep.
or whatever it was, 144, I think. And that's what will carry you through. If you have a small project, you're going to get 300 backers if they're very excited and spread the word and so on. Now, to add on to that, the first layer that you would add on is basically Facebook ads that bring people to sign up for your email list. So you need a really good landing page. You need Facebook ads. My company, we do this. Like you could basically expect to pay like $500 for a landing page, and
Mhm.
then maybe $500 to set up the rest of that funnel.
Mhm.
And like, for us, we do flat fees for monthly management, but for your spend, you want to spend like at least $20 a day on Facebook ads.
Mhm.
And you should be
Or
able
a
to get,
thousand.
yeah,
Just kidding.
exactly. There you go. So you should be able to get plenty of interested people as long as your
Yeah.
landing page is good, as long as the concept is good. There's obviously more to it than that, but there's nothing better than Facebook leading to a landing page that collects emails. The emails blow up your campaign. If you engage your email list and send regular emails at least once a month,
Yeah.
and people are excited, that's the first place they're going to go. It's also the way you can win the right to communicate across multiple channels,
Yeah.
is through your emails.
We did a weird thing on Moonrakers, and I'm not quite sure we'll do it again ever, but we got all these emails. I think we launched with close to 10K, and we didn't email them after the first welcome email. And
Mhm.
the goal was to just avoid people dropping off. Like
Yeah.
we didn't want to over communicate and have people drop off. And I think it was a mistake because we didn't. Well, I mean, Moonrakers funded great on the first day, so it definitely wasn't a mistake to do it entirely this way. But that first email they got was the campaign launches in 3 days. Like
Yep.
this is coming. And I think there's definitely two different camps, and I think your camp is probably the way I prefer to do it in the future is a nice cadence to get them excited versus just bam, it's happening.
Yep.
But yeah, it sounds like, I mean, obviously you've done this a lot and you have a good head on your shoulders for it.
Yeah, well, it's common. It's not uncommon to worry about people dropping off your email list. And
Right.
every single email I send, people drop off. In fact, if I look, I could look and tell you how many people drop off each email. Typically less than 10, but the thing is, people will still drop, and they will drop because they're not interested. They'll drop because you sent them an email and they got mad at you or whatever. And I've had experiences in the past where clients have come to me with 5,000 emails, and they built them all through Facebook ads, or like 3,000 emails. This last one was built them all through Facebook ads, and they sent an email, and their MailChimp account got shut down because they built emails, and then like months later they send their first email, and everyone's like, I don't know where this came from. And Google and Gmail and all of the other email systems will figure out how many people like mark it as spam or mark it as like abuse in one way or another. And if people aren't used to receiving things from you, they'll quickly forget about you. And I think that that's one of the most important things to keep in mind is like your regular cadence will actually keep people will remind people of who you are. And that's right, it's going to happen eventually. So I personally would recommend, as a professional marketer, side on the side of too many emails versus too few. And if people get mad, you can always reduce the amount or say sorry. Yeah. But yeah. And then another thing, like benefit about like a regular cadence of emails, like once a month, is really good, because Gmail and other companies will look at how your readership is, and they will, you'll either get like bumped up or down, your reputation, and the regular cadence is actually a part of that equation. So if they send an email on a regular basis, then that will help you.
Nice. Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the game. So I was impressed by just the number of components. There's quite a lot. Obviously, the miniatures don't start until a little bit further into your pledge levels. But it's a really nice looking game. Your artwork's incredible. You have a really good quote by Sam Healy. Great choice to have a quote up at the top from him. I love seeing quotes like this during a campaign page instead of all at the bottom. So kudos on that. But yeah, tell me a little about I think I want to especially talk about your core pledge, your deluxe edition pledge, because that's going to be I think the one that you have the highest in. 544 there and 456 in your all in. So tell me about the components. I think the angels are the miniatures, right? And then the people they're going to be fighting are going to be more of the standees.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you've got the deluxe pledge. It includes all of the gameplay content. So the three different options. You basically have the most affordable option at $59, all the gameplay content at $89, and then you've got the cosmetic upgrades like the gigantic, 2-inch, 8mm thick metal coin. It's and
I got to show them the metal coins. You have a great little spinny GIF here. I love it.
Yeah, that big one in the center is like Harvey Two Faces coin that is all like shredded on one side and like beautiful on the other. It's really cool. It's like a Pog Slammer, the coolest Pog Slammer you'll ever see.
I like it. I also love that you did the one on one side and two on the other side, because like the production nerd in me was like, oh man, he saved so much on molds versus having one coin and a two coin. You just like completely got rid of a mold, and you just like simplified your components really nicely by doing it that way.
And we were able to, so instead of 24 coins, we only needed 15, and we were able to make them thicker also. It's like instead of 2mm, we now make them 3,
more space in the box.
4. Yeah, so they're more chunky and feel more fun, but yeah, so the deluxe pledge, it's like the all gameplay content, and so Deliverance is on Tabletop Simulator right now. Like I was sharing with you, I was playing a solo mode in front of everybody for for gaming, and on Tabletop Simulator, but you have access to all the stretch goals and everything like that, or they're already unlocked in Tabletop Simulator.
Nice.
Because it helps me test the game. So it's
Yeah,
nice to
totally.
have stretch goals that are all tested.
Yeah,
So what in
definitely.
particular would you like to know about the deluxe edition?
Well, I'm really pumped about some of your stretch goals. First off, I have to have plastic inserts in my game. When I opened up Terraforming Mars, I was just like so disappointed because it was just like plastic bags floating around. Which is why I'm really excited to get their big box. But like it seems like you unlocked that, and so we're probably working hard on that. You've unlocked a lot of extra angels that are all going in the deluxe pledge, right? So every angel that gets unlocked has a standee in the base game and a miniature in the deluxe pledge. Is that how that works?
So actually, this is one of the areas of contention for people that buy the base game. That's correct. Yeah.
All right, I
So
see it now.
for $59, we actually were not able to the margin. It just wouldn't work if we included all of the angels in all of the pledges. So the $89 pledge, it's really not that much for all of the gameplay content anyway, but you do get standees of the angels as well as minis of the angels in the deluxe.
Right.
It's one thing that people really wanted. I will probably do some kind of add-on to help people get the rest of the content in the base game edition, but deluxe is just going to be the most affordable. All in all, you'll get all the component upgrades too.
Obviously, I am biased because I also create games, but if anything, board games in our current economic climate are too cheap. So you will not hear me complain about an $89 price tag, especially with the number of minis you have and the number of components you have. This is very comparable to what we just did with Failed Fates plastic, very comparable in price to what we just did with Failed Fates plastic. Like none of that is surprising to me at all. So no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And then shipping is $9. So you're going to get a deluxe edition in the US for under $100 to your door.
Yeah, shipping on this game, and you don't have to comment on this, Andrew, but shipping for those watching, shipping this game is probably going to cost $15 to $20. So just be aware of that as a backer. That Andrew is a nice person.
Yeah, we definitely subsidize pretty hard. I wanted to give a compelling reason to get the game, a really compelling offer, and we really did put our best foot forward with shipping. Everything is region friendly shipping. Will fulfill from within the region. I hope that I don't lose an arm and a leg on a $16,000 container. I hope it's like figured out by then, But
I hope so for your sake too. We're about to ship Veiled Fate, and it's we're even looking at air freight because it's just so expensive to do shipping right now that it's wild. So it's a huge problem. I really like that you have Pearl and Obsidian dice. I'm a dice nerd. I have a Moonrakers Hematite dice right here and a Veiled Fate dice that's Obsidian. And so it's awesome. Nice to see. It's nice to see some other fun dice here. I like that. We worked with Level Up Dice to make these, which has been a good relationship. We really like them.
That's very cool.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about the mat. This is a huge mat, isn't it?
Yes, it is a 44-inch wide by 27-inch tall mat.
Oh my gosh! Is it come with a tube?
It's now I did get it quoted with a tube. Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium series, is a recent Kickstarter that came with a mat in a tube, but the shipping with a tube is the weirdest thing. The shipping, like with a mat that's folded over the game, is the way that most people that use or that do neoprene mats ship that way. And all that I've researched and learned, if you ship it that way, there are going to be creases. If the mat is thick enough, it won't be a problem. Now, if a mat is ruined, you're going to have to
replace it.
The mat does not fit in the box. In fact, you could probably fit the box in the mat,
That's amazing. So, it's like Christmas wrapping paper. You're just putting the box around.
Exactly.
We had this question all the time. Will the mat fit in the box? Will the mat fit in the box for Moonrakers? Because we have two mats that replace two of the boards. And we just told people, no, it won't. And then we delivered, and people are like, we figured out how to fit the mat in the box. And they're like taking out the insert, rolling the mats up, putting rubber bands around them, and nesting them in the insert because the insert had two wells in the back.
That's pretty good.
They managed to fit the mats in the box. And we're like, dang it, we could have answered that question. Yes, the mats fit in the box. But honestly, we don't want people taking the insert out of their game every time they play, because that is a great way to break an insert.
Right.
But man, the painted minis that you had in your top tiers, which have to be sold out, right? Your top tiers are sold out.
Yeah, we might have a few left of the
There are
749. I have two left.
Yeah, there are 2 left of that, and then you've been sold out since day one of the 1500.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
We've actually
so
sold
nice.
out 4 times or 3 times of the angel investor tier. It's the 750 tier that has 2 left. We started out at 7, then we went to 12, then we went to 21, and we sold out like boom, 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 and we went to 30, and it's slowed down, you know. So we'll sell out of 30, but then I might bring it to 40, and we'll see, you know.
I mean, it's gorgeous, and the mini bases are really great in your game too. Like, so many people overlook their bases. We're talking about that for our next game right now. Of like, what do we do with these bases? Because I'm doing some test prints right now, and the bases are just round pieces of plastic, and I'm like, can we figure something else out? But your bases are really pretty.
Thank you.
I love the angel investor title that you use too. I
just thought that was clever, and I'm like, but I want to do a higher level. What should I do? And it's like, somebody somebody in the community was like, Archangels, like, that's amazing.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, our community names so much of what we do. It's so helpful. But yeah. Chris Chesney says, does the mat fit in the box? Yes. I hear it does not.
If you fold it like a Tetris piece, it'll fit.
I cracked up at this picture, by the way, because I was like, man, this is my future. A minivan with a bunch of games in the back of it.
That's not even my biggest minivan, or that's not even my biggest van anymore.
Hey, it's helpful for board games, because you can fit way more board games than you can in my my SUV, I'm sure. But I love that. Cool, man. Well, this campaign is going really, really well. I hope that you are very proud of what you've done. I know you're probably exhausted between your 5, almost 6 kids. A great job getting this campaign in before your next kid, by the way. It's definitely that had to be planned, right?
You know what's funny is, like, I had the intention to make the game and completely finish it and build the community and then give it to a publisher. And I actually talk about this on the Board Game Design Lab podcast. It's or it'll be out soon probably, but we ended up deciding to publish it ourselves, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if I publish it myself, I need to do it now. Like, I can't just be like, we just want to make sure the last few pieces of art are done or whatever.
Right.
It's like, no, the baby's coming. It's either now or like
I'm
next
never
year,
gonna have time to do this.
Yeah. So
I snuck my baby in between 2 campaigns. Veiled Fate ended in October, and Mythic Mischief is in August 31st. And I had a baby in February, so it was like perfect right in the middle. I was able to take some time off. So yeah, it's it's a lot though. I know where you're coming from, but I have 4 less kids. Well, almost 4, soon to be 4 less kids. So
I'd say 1 was probably the hardest. I almost lost the shirt off my back because I didn't know how to schedule things. And when you have 1 kid, you have to figure out a schedule. And then 2, it's like, all right, one parent on each kid, you know. And then 3 is zone defense. It's like, I drew a line, you cannot cross it. If you cross it, I have this fly swatter, and you will get hit. And then like amazing. 5 is the same thing, just like more kids getting hit with a fly swatter.
No, I am right there where I'm like, all right, babe, if we have another one, we no longer have one-on-one. It's not going to be pretty after that, but cool. Andrew, really pumped for you. 180 grand, continuing to go up. You still have 26 days. That's a long time. So it's definitely going to grow from there. And let us know if there's anything more we can do to help. And just super excited. Thanks for sharing about the game.
You got it. Really appreciate it. By the way, there were 2 questions that people asked. The first one was if they wanted one person, Chris Chesney, says, I wish I would have seen you at Unpub event at Kingdom Con. Actually, I ran the Unpub event for the last 3 years at Kingdom Con, and we had they did like the final event like a year before or something, and I ran the Unpub event. I had Deliverance there the last 2 years. You might have played it. It was ugly looking. And then will Andrew be at Gen Con?
Oh, nice. Will you be at Gen Con? That's a good question.
No, because of the baby. I do have a plan to be in Madison, Wisconsin at the end of the year for Crafter Con and Protospiel Madison. I'll be there actually teaching a marketing seminar and probably bringing a prototype of Deliverance and playing all sorts of games,
Nice.
So.
Yeah, we're going to be at Gen Con, and we have Mythic Mischief scheduled to be on Kickstarter during Gen Con, so we may
Okay.
have gone a little overboard with our booth this year. So
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be the biggest booth we're allowed to have at Gen Con possibly ever, just because they have a little bit more space this year. So
Yep.
it's going to be a little bit of overkill, and I'm really excited. But I'll
That's
send you a picture,
awesome.
maybe.
You got it. I'll tell my people to check it out.
Sounds good. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, it's been a blast talking to you, and looking forward to meeting up at a con sometime. I've never been to an Unpub event. I've tried many times. It was right when everything was shutting down for COVID, and I was like, well, I guess I have to cancel all these plans.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just kind
It's
of
too
happens.
bad, you know. Well, I'm glad everything's opening up. I'm in California and we're set to open up in like 4 days finally.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm in Tennessee. It's been open for a little while. Most people still wear masks, but you know,
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are getting vaccinated, so it helps.
Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I really appreciate the time, and we'll have to get you on the Crowdfunding Nerds podcast to
Would love
chat
to.
about marketing, what y'all did with Moonrakers, because it was great. You know, real
Thank you.
veiled fate, and you know, so you said Mythic Mayhem.
Mythic
That
Mischief.
is your Mythic
If I said
Mischief.
mayhem, it's my fault.
No, that's just I think what my brain heard. So that
Yeah.
one's going on Kickstarter in what time? August?
August 31st is
Okay.
the scheduled launch date for that, and very different than our first two games. I'm really excited about it. It's a brain burner in a good way. Lots of strategy. So yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
it's lots of fun thematic puzzles. So
That's awesome. That's
I'm pumped
awesome.
for it. But yeah, we'd love to talk about it. We're going to be doing a lot of new marketing things for that. We're trying a lot of new stuff, so yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, it's successful. It's always
Excellent.
nervous. It doesn't go away. I know
Mhm.
I know you've been a part of many campaigns and know, but every time that launch button gets hit, it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, here we go. So
Yeah, it's like, all right, now the market will tell me
yeah,
if this is
did we
like,
price this right, or is this something that people want?
yeah, exactly. Well, cool,
Awesome.
man. Excited, and thanks for inviting me on. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, man, wonderful to have you, and yeah, looking forward to keeping the conversation going.
All right, we'll talk soon.
See ya. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be doing a giveaway. I want to hear what you think about Deliverance in the comments section. Especially, maybe we'll pick a favorite angel. You know, we did that with the Battle Bots Arena. That's not it. Oh no, what's the name of the game? Someone help me in the comments. Anyway, we did what's your favorite robot for that. Let's do what's your favorite your angel here. So if you go to the Kickstarter page and you go to the What's in the Box Deluxe Edition section, there is a thing here that walks through Michael. If he's not your favorite, why? And you can pick a favorite one there. Comment in this comment section who is your favorite angel and why, and you'll be eligible. We're giving away Moonrakers mats this week, so it'll be the armory board and the dispatch board for Moonrakers that are on nice mats. Keep your contracts off the table. Keep your store cards off the table. But yeah, we'll be giving those away next week on Ivy Games Weekly, and looking forward to seeing you then. Oh, and tonight we're playing Veiled Fate tonight on Ivy Backed. Ivy Backed is normally on Wednesday. We moved it to Friday because I was a little sick and exhausted from a trip that I was on. But excited to play Veiled Fate with some community members from Ivy tonight. So we will see you then, hopefully. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here, and have a good rest of your day.